Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.
Welcome to True Crime to Go. What can I get for you?
Hey, you got any cold cases?
Most people like their cases warm.
Never mind.
Pull up to the second window and we'll see you next crime.
Welcome to True Crime to Go. I'm John, here as always with my boy Jamie. How's life?
Things are good, man. Vacation's coming up. You and I are on a recording frenzy, trying to get all these episodes out the door before we head out to our various beaches. But today we got a great case for you. True Crime to Go, as always. True crime case in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah, man, we are definitely in a frenzy, but we love you all and we want you to have new episodes of True Crimecast and True Crime to Go while we're gone on vacation. So without further ado, Jamie, get us rolling.
Angela, who went by Angie, Marie Samoto, was born on September 19th of 1964 in Alameda, California. She was studying computer science at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. And on October 12th of 1984, Angie and two friends, one male and one female, went out for some fun at the Texas State Fair. Angie's boyfriend didn't join the group as he said he was going to. He had to get up early for work the next day and just decided he didn't want to be out late. Once the two girls had left the fair, they decided to finish the night with some dancing at the Rio Room Dance Club and stayed there until after midnight.
Yeah, while she was there, she reportedly approached a lot of different people. She was going table to table and talking to everybody as if she knew everybody in the room. The three would leave the club, and Angie was the one driving. She would drop off the male at his apartment first, which was about a 5-minute walk from Angie's condo, and then she would drop off her friend. Now, the guy would later tell police that he would go inside and went immediately to bed. Then she would drop off her other friend and wanted to drive by her boyfriend's home just to say goodnight. And then after that was done, she drove back to her condo. Now, once she was back at her condo, her boyfriend received a call around 1:45 a.m. from Angie saying that there was a man who had come into her condo and needed to use her phone and the restroom. Now, he reported that she said, "Talk to me." And then she hung up saying, "I will call you right back." So after he didn't get a call back, he attempted to call her back, but there was no answer.
Again, this is 1984. Not a lot of cell phones out there, more of the pager era. But this guy came into her house because he wanted to use the bathroom and make a phone call while he was there. And I'm guessing she got off the phone so that he could make the call. But then, of course, she never called her boyfriend back. So he went to her condo, and when he arrived, the door was locked and nobody answered. He was able to call police, apparently from a cell phone. Maybe the first one ever, John?
So he worked a construction job, and allegedly he had one of the very first cell phones available. I didn't know they existed that long ago, but that's an interesting side note.
Like a bag phone or something?
I have no idea.
Police got there at 2:17 a.m. and made an entrance into the home. What they found inside, as you can imagine, was horrible. Angie was found bloody and naked on her bed. Her autopsy would reveal that she was sexually assaulted, and she died from multiple stab wounds to the heart. Police focused their attention on two people, the boyfriend and the male who went to the fair and the dance club with her. But nothing would stick to either of these guys. This case went cold for years.
Well, that just did not set well for her friend Sheila Wasaki. Sheila, who was the female friend at the fair and the club that night, would go on to pursue her private investigator's license. She claims that in 2006, after multiple attempts, she convinced the Dallas Police Department to run the DNA that was collected at the scene that night and from the autopsy. And after 2 years of waiting for the results, they finally came back.
I know you all want to know what the results said. Quick side note, Sheila Wysocki was the primary investigator on the Lauren Agee case that we covered, or she was one of the primary investigators. She also has her own podcast called Without Warning. So, side note there. So like John said, after 2 years of waiting, we get these tests back. Police had finally found what they needed to make an arrest. Donald Andrew Bass had been serving a 25-year sentence for a 1978 aggravated rape and kidnapping conviction, and he was out on parole during the time that Angie was murdered. In 1985, unrelated to Angie, he was also arrested and sentenced to life in prison for the exact same charges. So he was serving his life sentence when he was arrested for Angie's murder in 2008. He had been sentenced to death and is still currently on death row.
Yeah, I just thought this case was really interesting. I mean, it's horrible that somebody was raped and murdered, but I thought it was interesting that after years and years and years of being a cold case, it took her friend basically quitting her job and becoming a private investigator to get the ball rolling on this case again. And she was like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. She was definitely that for her friend. I think this case would probably still be cold if we had to wait on the police department to take it upon themselves to solve this case. So shout out to her friend who is still very much devoted to the criminal world and trying her best to make things right for people.
Absolutely. This is a great story, and I'm glad that the family was able to find out what happened and that those two guys who were probably kind of living with shadows over them due to being suspects can now hopefully get rid of that, even though this was decades ago. So another use of current technology to solve an older case, and this just goes to give me hope for other cases we've covered that have yet to be solved.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting, too, that the Dallas Police Department, as a result of this case, made a new task force after this to try to go back and try to solve those cold cases with the use of modern technology. So I'm just so glad that this all was resolved. So many times these cases, if they go cold, they remain cold and they're never solved. So thank goodness for a friend who will advocate for her deceased friend.
Absolutely. And thanks for listening to this story, guys. Once again, True Crime to Go. Crime story in 10 minutes or less.
Would you like crime with that?
You've listened to True Crimecast, distributed by Stoveleg Media. Check out stoveleg.com to find out more about your hosts and to find other podcasts to listen to. Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.